Hey YouTube, this is the last part for Black Isn't Black, talking about what's really going down with the holism part of them trying to transition African American women into holism and other women of other culture into holism. I'm just telling you of my experience with Black people and what was taking place with me. Now, this is the craziest thing. I remember going through memory loss where I couldn't even remember I was raped. I remember waking up to a man being on top of me, raping me, and I was working at a correctional facility and I couldn't even report. I didn't even remember until I stopped working at that site what had happened to me. I couldn't remember to report. You always told to report is key and stuff like that. But what do you do when you can't remember to report? When it's like your memory has been erased, like you went completely ape. Like there is no memory. You went like a monkey, completely blanked out, no memory, no nothing. You can't tell anybody because you don't know what happened to you. So I started waking up to the fact that this had done happened to my children and other people's children and had happened to other people and they couldn't report. Now, I don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I know is they threw me in an Alice in Wonderland situation and it wasn't nothing like the book. It was totally different. Dorothy and Oz, The Wiz, or whatever had nothing on what I woke up to. I woke up to a real life horror story. From me being asleep so long. I woke up to people wanting to make me a whore, impregnate me, and stuff like that, and make me a maid. I ended up in this situation. I was living at my old apartment over on Avenue B in Belglade. And I wasn't even at that location, but I thought I was at that location. You get what I'm saying? Being moved and not even knowing that you're being moved to different locations is something that happened to me and them doing this to me. I remember like even the dress that I'm at right now, I remember it being 900 and something and now it's 800 and something, and stuff, and the dress is constantly changing and all this stupidity, and I'm trying to cope. I'm trying to report and cope at the same time, and there is nothing I can do. I remember going on Amazon ordering the testing kits to test for test for like do the culture test where you swab your vagina and you run it to a lab and get it tested, and they're supposed to do like a research testing center or something like that that's supposed to actually do voluntary testing of the cultures, and that didn't come with the culture. So I had a whole bunch of them and everything, just sitting there, and I'm like, well, what do they want me to do? Because I'm trying to outthink my enemy, and I'm using resources that's coming from places that are already compromised. I'm not saying that these people are my enemies. I'm not saying none of this stuff. I'm just saying stuff has been compromised. So I was trying to use that. Then the clinic, trying to get medication at the clinic, and then them wanting to do things a certain way, and I'm like, look, man, I've been raped or whatever, and I'm like, well, if we can't stick uh um the little plastic thing up you where they open your vagina up, If we can't stick that up in you, then we can't do your test for STDs. And I'm like, you can't just swab me and get the STD results. No, we have to open you all the way up. And I'm telling her, look, I am a rape victim. Every time you open my body up, I have to wait a certain time frame before I can report. I may have to report sooner because of me feeling this rape situation is excessive. Like, it's just a whole bunch, It's crazy. Nobody knew what I was going through, just being blind, just blinded and stuff. And I remember, I always tell my daughters to wear a pad every day because I wear a pad every day, and you never know when your period's going to come on. And I'm on the double. I had my tubes tied, everything, because I felt the baby removed from my stomach. Nobody could know how I feel about that. And not knowing how many children have been removed from me over the decades because of these people wanting me into holism and all kinds of stuff. And I remember I didn't see blood in my underwear, like in the pad originally. And I remember picking the pad back up later and seeing blood in the pad. And I'm like, I shouldn't be bleeding. I'm on the depot. I shouldn't have a period. On top of that, my tubes are tied. I'm not sexually active, but I'm being raped. And that's all it could track back to. It's just me being raped, and maybe I'm tearing under my clothing and not even knowing how bad the tear is. Going to the doctors will not even diagnose you with an STD. They're not going to do it. If they diagnose you with an STD and you call the cops and you say, look, I have an STD. I haven't been sexually active in 5 years. How did I get an STD? This justifies that I was raped. This justifies that something was done to me, and stuff like that. So they try not to do it. So you're walking around with green stuff coming out your vagina. You're walking around sick as a dog. You're walking around with all kinds of discharge. You're walking around stink. And it's just justified by behavior. But what was the real, nail in the coffin with this holism part was when I seen it up on one of the government sites that they're looking for prostitutes. And I called and I reported it. I say, you are a government site. Government don't look for no prostitutes. What y'all got going on? And I'm registered for that site to, as a vendor, but I don't offer those type of vendor services. I clean, sweep, mop, or whatever. And it was strange, but I reported, and then they said, we're going to get rid of it. And they never got rid of it. What they did, they hid the code, where the code is no longer accessible to everybody. And it was crazy, man. Just nobody really knows how I really feel about any of this stuff. I'm just holding on to God. I'm praying about it or whatever. But like I said, our own people are involved in this. It's not like a stray. Like I would expect that out of somebody that's, but every time I turn around, we always talk about black this and we black that and we this kind of black and we that kind of black. And I'm pro African American. I'm for our own people, everybody else too. But when I seen our own people on this mess, same ones who talking about they this and that, it almost killed me, knowing what they had became.